Okay guys, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a two-part brass hammer. This hammer is going to be in the regular English system, so let's go to New and click on Standard IPT. From here, we are going to be creating our first sketch on the XY plane. If we look at the original drawings, we will notice that this is a symmetrical piece. So since this is a symmetrical piece, we're only going to be drawing half of it. I'm first going to be creating three rectangles. 1, 2, and 3. Now I didn't connect them other than at the bottom at the bottom points. I didn't connect them here, and I'll tell you why. The reason why I did not connect them is because they are all at different heights. The first thing that I need to do is I need to dimension the overall width from left to right, or in this case from center to right, which is 1.6. This one, this rectangle on the outside has a diameter of 1 inch, but since we are going to be making a revolution, we're going to divide that in half. That is going to be zero point 0.5. Right here, this middle rectangle, this is 0.75 divided by 2, which gives us 0.375. And this part, or this section right here, I'm going to be putting at zero point 0.5. Now I know that in the drawings that you guys might see, you'll see that this is 0.85, but this is a hexagon. And I will be changing changing this revolution into a hexagon later, so I will get to that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and add our final dimensions from this furthest edge on the outside to this section right here. This is 0.98. And then from here to this edge, this is 1.26. Once you have this, go ahead and finish your sketch, and we are going to be revolving. So select all three of your profiles, all three rectangles. Go to Select Axis, click there, and we are going to be selecting this bottom line, and it gives us our revolution. Now once you have that, we are going to be adding some chamfers. The chamfers are at 45 degrees and have a depth or a distance of 0.125. The chamfers go here, here, and here. Go ahead and say OK, and we're almost done with this part. So this section right here should be a hexagon shape, so I'm going to turn it to my left side view, and I'm going to create a sketch right here. Rectangle pull down menu, and select polygon. From here, I'm going to select the center point. I'm going to pull it out and make a polygon, or in this case, a hexagon, that is larger than my actual object. I'm going to use my horizontal constraint to make sure that this top edge stays flat and horizontal, and that from my top edge to my bottom edge, this is 0.85. As you'll notice, all of the points are on the inside of my circle, and that's exactly what I want. I'm now going to create a regular circle that is larger than everything else, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the outside of my hexagon, so that way I'm left with just this inner part that is hexagon shaped. So go ahead and do that, and we're going to change our direction of our cut this way. I'm going to look at my front view, grab this arrowhead, and pull it back. As long as you are cutting off more than the hex or this area here and less than this area here, that's all you need to do. So once you have that, take a look at it isometrically. This is what you should be left with. Now I did say that this is a symmetrical part, so I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to use my mirror pattern function, and I'm going to select over here in the browser bar my revolution, my chamfer, and my extrusion. For my mirror plane, I'm just going to select this part, this face right here, and it shows me a preview of what my mirrored object would look like. Okay, this part is almost done. The last thing I need to add is a hole for the hammer handle to connect to. So I'm going to go to my view cube and look at the bottom edge or the bottom face. I'm going to click here and create a sketch. From here, I'm going to click on point and place that point right in the center of my object. That's all I need to do, and I'm going to click Finish Sketch. I now need to add a hole, so I'm going to click on Hole, and I'm going to make sure that this hole is a threaded hole and that it has no seat. My threaded hole size is going to be 0.5, and if I look here at all of the options available to me, I'm going to scroll down and find 1/2 20 UNF. Once you have that, we're going to enter in our thread depth, which in this case is going to be 0.5, and my actual hole size, or my hole depth, is going to be 0.625. Once you have that, say OK, rotate it, and there is our final part. I just need to change this from the generic material that it is over into brass soft yellow. Once you have that, you can go ahead and save it. I have created a new hammer folder, and in there I have my hammer head, and then now I'm going to create my hammer handle. So go to New and select a standard IPT. The hammer handle is relatively simple, and we're going to be starting on the XY plane. From here, we're going to create two rectangles, a rectangle here and a rectangle here. I'm going to be adding my dimensions from left to right. This hammer handle is 6.98 inches long. The grip is going to be 3.883. Nope, 3.883. Once you have that, then we're going to add our diameters. Remember that we are going to be working, or we are going to be creating a revolution, so we only have to enter in half of our diameters. The diameter of our handle grip is 0.85, and we are dividing that by 2. And the shaft where the hammer head attaches to, that is going to be 0.25. Once you have that, finish your sketch, and we are going to revolve. Select both rectangles, and your axis is going to be that bottom edge, and say OK. Now that you have this, we are just going to add plain chamfers to here and here. Select Apply. Once you have that, we're going to add another chamfer, but this chamfer is going to be 0.035, and say OK. So we now have 3 chamfered edges, and we are almost done. Now we need to add the grip. We are going to be creating a new sketch right in the middle of this plane, or right in the middle of this hammer. So we need to go to the plus sign next to origin and choose our XY plane. I'm going to be creating a triangular cutout. So all I need to do is draw a triangle. Doesn't matter the size, as long as it looks like this. I'm going to use my vertical constraint to lock my point of my triangle to the center line of the flat edge of the triangle. And I'm going to dimension my triangle angle to be 60 degrees. Once you have that, we can now go ahead and add dimensions. Once you have that, we can now go ahead and add dimensions of where this triangle is going to be located. 0.92 from the outside edge to this point, this is going to be 0.292. If your triangle does something like this, all you have to do is just drag it up, find the end, and drag it up, and you'll be okay. The next thing we have to do is we've got to show where this point connects to the inside of this grip. Before we can do that, we have to use Project Geometry. So I'm going to click Project Geometry and select this top line. Right click and say OK. I'm going to grab the bottom of my triangle and move it below that green or that yellow line that we created. Next, I'm going to dimension its depth. All I have to do is find where that point is and add the dimension of 0.047. Once you have that, go ahead and finish your sketch. We are going to be revolving this cutout, so I'm going to make sure that I select my entire triangle with the point included, and we are revolving around the x-axis. Now instead of adding this, we're going to be cutting it away so that we end up with something that looks like this right here. We are now going to use our rectangular pattern. So click on rectangular pattern, choose revolution 2. The direction is going to be the x-axis. If we look, it's going to send it in the positive x direction. We want to flip it so it's going into the actual hammer handle. We are repeating this pattern 20 times with a spacing of 0.173. You can go ahead and look at and see the preview of what is going to happen. If you're satisfied, go ahead and click OK. And we are almost done. The last thing we need to do is add some thread. So we're going to select the thread function and select this shaft right here. We are not threading the entire shaft. All we are selecting is 0.437 of this shaft. Make sure that your thread reads 1/2 20 UNF. Once it says that, select OK, and we are finished with this. We just need to change the material from generic to aluminum 6061. Once you have that, go ahead and save this as the handle. So now that we have created both pieces, let's go ahead and create an assembly. Go to New and select Standard IAM. When you get there, click on Place. Make sure that you go to your hammer handle or your hammer folder and select the hammer handle as the first part that you bring in. When you bring it in, make sure that you right-click and click Place Grounded at Origin. This will keep all of your parts from moving in the future. Right-click and say OK, and let's go ahead and place our hammer head. Go ahead and click Open, and we are just going to place it right here and click OK. We now want to connect our hammer head to our handle, So we're going to rotate our part so that way we can see the hole that is threaded on the hammer head. Once you have it rotated in this position, go ahead and click on the Constrain button and find the center line of the hole on our hammer head and select the shaft of our hammer handle. Click Apply and then Cancel. We're going to pull this out so that way we can make sure that this is correctly placed. Then we're going to rotate our view so we can see the inside of our hole, and we're going to constrain this inner circle of the hole, and we're going to constrain this outer circle of our handle where the threaded part ends, and they are now fully connected. Click Apply and then Cancel. As you'll notice, this can spin, but that's fine as long as it's placed in this general position. This is fine. Go ahead and save this as assembly or hammer assembly. All right, let's go ahead and create our exploded view. So go to New and select Standard IPN. Bring in our hammer assembly, and now we're going to tweak our components. The only component that we really need to tweak is our hammer handle. So I'm going to click on the hammer handle, grab this arrow right here, and move it. It's moving in our X direction, so I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm moving it 2 inches away. And click and hit enter, and that is it. You can play it so you can see what's happening, or you can play it in reverse to see it go together. Either way, just go ahead and save this. This is our hammer assembly IPN. And now we can go ahead and place this on our title block. Let's go ahead and add our second sheet. Our second sheet will have the dimensions that we need for everything. So go ahead and click right here in the browser bar and click on New Sheet. The new sheet will have both pieces, so let's go ahead and place our base. In this case, we're going to use the hammerhead first because that is what we created first. And I want to make sure that it kind of fits right here. I don't want to have it shaded. I want to make sure that it is at 1:1. And I want to have a side view and a top view. And say OK. The reason why I added the top view is because we do have that hole that I want to go ahead and dimension. The next thing that we need to add is our hammer handle, and it can fit at the 1:1 scale with a front view and a side view. All right. The next thing that I'm going to add are my labels. I'm going to put a label right here, and this is going to say hammer head. I'm going to bold and underline this. Then I'm going to click here, copy, and paste it. So that way I have it right here under my hammer handle. And I'm going to say hammer handle. And say OK. I then need to copy or paste again and put this right here. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm positioned in the right location. And I'm just going to say hammer parts and say OK. And then just readjust the location. All right. The next thing that needs to be done is the dimensioning. General dimensioning is pretty simple, so that'll be your responsibility. The only thing that I'm going to show you is how to add the information for the threads. So to add thread information, you're going to click on Hole and Thread Notes. Where you see any thread, in this case we have the hammer head has threading, so I'm just going to click there, and the hammer handle has threading right there. Once you have those two things, you can move on to the next feature. The next feature is that we need to section or show a detail view of this right here of how we created these V notches. So go to Place Views and select Detail. We want to select this corner, and we don't want to have the view label on, so we're going to click on Toggle Label Visibility. I'm going to click here and make a circle about this big, and then move it up here where there's nothing in the way. And this will show all of the information that I need. It is up to you guys to go ahead and add the rest of the information and the rest of the dimensions all on your own. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.